Welcome to TechNOW. I'm your host, John Reid, also CEO of CATAAlliance, and we continue our thought leadership series on digital adoption. We're joined from her offices in Ottawa, Canada, by Meg Beckel, the President and CEO of the Canadian Museum of Nature. Meg, share with us some of your insights.
John, great question. I'd be delighted to have a conversation about digital adoption. Based on my experiences at both the Royal Ontario Museum, at the University of Waterloo, and now here at the Canadian Museum of Nature, I think there are lots of ways that we could encourage faster digital adoption in Canada. But I think there are a number of barriers or points of resistance that need to be addressed before we can really speed things up. So let me share a couple stories or experiences that will shed some light on this. And I'll start with an experience at the Royal Ontario Museum. William Thorcell, the director at the time, and I were working on the strategic plan for the Royal Ontario Museum, which was really the operational plan coming out of the new crystal construction. And after you have this great building, you need to think about how to operationalize the new museum experience. And people think of museums as destinations. They're knowledge destinations, they're visitor destinations, they're social destinations, and they're civic destinations. Our digital media team thought that a museum is also a digital destination. And yet we thought that digital is really an environment or a mechanism for facilitating the true points of destination. Digital is a tool, an environment for experiencing a knowledge destination, a visitor destination, a social destination, or a civic destination. So I brought that experience here to the Canadian Museum of Nature in helping this organization understand how do we connect with all of the potential visitors and potential partners of a national museum of international first rank. Well, we need to see ourselves as a destination as I've described it, but we need to understand how our visitors want to connect with us. In what context do they want to connect with us? And in many cases, it's in a physical context where they want to come to the museum with their grandchildren and engage in a physical way. There are others who want to engage with the museum digitally, through their iPad, through a web experience, through a mobile experience. It's still to acquire knowledge, but it's the context in which they're experiencing it. And the challenge here was getting people to see that as a valid environment for receiving content and for having a museum experience, and that it isn't less than a physical experience. It is different than and needs to be designed differently. So you can't simply replicate the physical experience in a digital environment because the way you connect with digital is different. So that conversation with the staff here made me realize that one of the major barriers is how people understand digital, and that it isn't an experience or a domain unto itself. It's a tool, or it's a mechanism, or it's a context. And that involves a real mind shift for people and a culture shift for people, which will take evidence. They have to see it demonstrated. They need to know it's going to work. And they're going to need some training on how to use digital tools.